bullshit.
Bruce Magnus against Mr. Anderson opened Impact. It was an 8-hard stud tournament match. And I realize it's 8-card stud. But even then, why is it the 8-card stud tournament? It's not in Vegas.
No.
Not in Atlantic City.
Winner does not get a deck of cards.
Are they gambling on something that I'm unaware of?
I don't know.
Are they gambling on their future?
Is 8-card stud even a game?
I don't know.
I don't either. I'm not a poker aficionado.
It's a bad idea.
Yeah. And Anderson won here in a squash. At one point, Brutus Magnus went for a move, and the announcers were like, that's his finisher. I thought to myself, Brutus Magnus is a finisher? I'm not familiar with it. He didn't hit it, so it doesn't matter. Anderson won. Anderson
actually raked his eyes right in front of the ref and then hit the mic check for the pin. So why people don't do more eye rakes, I have no idea.
Yeah. Before this, they did a recap of last week, and they recapped every single angle in the show. And this is one area where the show still needs work, because a lot goes on in a 2-hour episode of Impact, and to recap all of it in about a minute is impossible, and it just made my head hurt.
Do they have a title for this show, or have they dropped those with the new regime?
Oh, there was one.
Oh, I think.
I
don't care.
I didn't write it down. Oh, no, the band breaks up or something. Spoiling the end of the show, in fact.
Now, why do they do that?
I don't know.
I do not understand titling Impact. Like, that actually makes me even more upset. That these shows, they're so proud of these television shows that they title them.
I don't know.
I don't title this radio show. The Christmas show, maybe. That's just because that's what it is. I don't go like, Christmas show 2010. Vinny gets drunk. It's not a work of art. You do 52 of them a year, okay? I don't know. It just annoys me in this case. Maybe if the shows were good, that would be one thing. But there's so much goofiness on these shows. He's still better. Don't get me wrong. But like the old Vince Russo Crash TV shows, the fact that those were titled just made me want to eat somebody, and not in a good way. We had the Christie interview with Kurt backstage. Blew off his match with Tomko, as he should have, based on what happened. Said he wanted to talk to Hulk Hogan. He was upset that Hogan had looked him in his eyes last week, and then the jackals had attacked him from behind. Scott Hall compared to a jackal. Yeah. He said he was going to find Hogan tonight, and he better be ready for a meeting. We had Bischoff come out ranting and raving about Foley when he showed up. Foley came out, and Bischoff was just shocked he was there, and said tonight was the night that Foley had to fall in line or else. And Foley did this big speech about how he really liked everybody in this business except Eric Bischoff was the one guy he hated. And he said that starting at the age of 22, he'd started saving every single dime, sleeping at Red Roof Inns as the WWE champion, just so that someday he would never have to work for an asshole like Eric Bischoff. And Bischoff said he loved power and control. Foley said, you haven't learned a thing from WCW, which remains to be seen. And anyway, he was about to leave when Bischoff reminded him, I guess, that if he quit, then Borash and Abyss would be fired. First off, I thought Borash was already fired. Is he going to be fired again?
The performances of these men was awesome here. Their intensity, their delivery was great. The content of this made about 0 sense to me. Because Foley, as far as I could tell, quit. He mentioned that his friends Abyss and Borash would, their jobs were in his hands, basically. But then he said he didn't want to work for Eric, and he began to walk away. So after he basically quit, then Eric booked him in a match.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ended. I don't know what happened here.
I know that Crumbly or somebody's going to say that Foley is trying to save Borash and Abyss's jobs. I don't even remember what happened to Abyss or why Abyss got in trouble. But I do know that I could have sworn Eric Bischoff fired Jeremy Borash. So what job is he saving? Borash even appeared on the show and said he was there to pick up his last paycheck.
Yeah.
So what is Foley saving?
I don't know. This storyline in particular is not working.
There's another one even worse later on, but we'll get to that in a minute. There was a funny line where Foley said that Bischoff was the worst announcer there'd ever been, and Taz said, clearly you never heard of Mike Adamle.
Yes.
That was a rare example of mentioning WWE, and it was good. Because that was a great example where WWE actually did something fucking stupid, and TNA called them out on it. Normally, it's TNA...
talking about how great WWE is.
Begging that they are WWE, and which they're not. So, wanting so badly to be. Comes off very poorly. We had Abyss and Borash walking backstage. As noted, Borash was just there to pick up his last paycheck, and Abyss was scared for his job. And
Abyss was in full Muppet mode on the show.
Yeah.
Whimpering and whining and crying and pulling his hair out.
And Borash said, I worked for Bischoff 10 years ago. Nothing has changed. When Bischoff is around, nothing is okay. Nobody's okay.
Nobody's okay.
Sorry.
No.
And nothing, probably.
Anyway.
Tara did an interview, hyping up her match with Angelina Love. And she said Angelina appeared to be a changed girl since coming back, which was great. But she was still going to beat her tonight to retain her title. It's fine. Hernandez and Matt Morgan against Team 3 for the belts. Here was an example of just one of those things that makes TNA come off as goofy. Okay? So, Team 3D is feuding with the Nasty Boys. But for, absolutely no good reason, they just get a tag title match on Impact for free with a 10-minute time limit.
Yeah.
A title match with a 10-minute time limit. I don't want to necessarily compare it directly to UFC, but normal UFC fights are 3 rounds. When it's a championship fight, it's 5 rounds. In TNA, the Tag Team Championship is on the line in a match with a 10-minute time limit. Stupid. So they have this match, and it breaks down into a 4-way. Team 3D sets up the headbutt to the crotch. Nasty Boys run down and shove Devon off the top, which normally would be the pin, but of course not. He gets thrown off the top, but then the champs pin Bubba with a jumping kick.
And the highlight of this was Bubba took this kick. He did not just put a hand up. He did not just put both hands up. He crossed both arms fully in front of his face.
Yeah.
He feared Matt Morgan here.
So then the Nasties went up to beat up Team 3D, but Morgan and Hernandez made the save. Are they doing a 3-way?
It looks that way.
I could have sworn they were just doing wouldn't you do Team 3D versus the Nasties first?
I would.
That are skipping that match and going right to a 3-way. All right. I guess.
It's
goofy.
It's not the way I would have done it, but the match was fine, and I don't understand where they are going, maybe, but I understood, the actions and motivations of every team in this match made sense. The Nasties took out Team 3D because they hate them. Team 3D was suspicious of the champions because they had just wrestled them, but the champions are nice folks, so they saved Team 3D, and then I guess they made up afterwards.
The finish was still stupid.
Yeah.
Devon climbs to the top and he gets attacked by dudes not in the match, but then Bubba just gets pinned. Ridiculous. And we had Samoa Joe and Jesse Neal. Joe is in fact alive. He fucking killed Jesse Neal to death.
Tremendous squash match right here.
It was great.
Yeah.
This was a great, great TV deal here.
And they also mentioned, and this would come up in about 2 segments, Samoa Joe still has a title shot whenever he wants it.
Yeah.
So that's important.
Christy, and I don't know if they've, I guess that one dude, Rob Terry, had the briefcase, but Joe's too cool to carry the Halliburton down to the ring. Christy asked Hulk about how Kurt thought Hulk put a hit on him last week. Sorry if that was confusing. Anyway, he said he'd be around all night and told her to tell Angle that he was not hard to find. Now, keep in mind, we're 45 minutes into the show, so apparently he is hard to find. And I don't think Angle found him until we were 2 hours into the show, so I have no idea how big the impact zone is, but it's monstrous, apparently. Labyrinthian. We had AJ and the Pope. Flair came out with AJ, told him not to get in the ring until the ref held the ropes open for him. That was a great little thing. Flair's great with the little things, which TNA is horrible at. So, they did a match. It was a hell of a lot of fun. This was by far the best thing on the show, this and the post-match. Pope did a Dusty impersonation with the elbows and the wacky jive, and I have no idea why the man is not the new Nature Boy. I mean, every week it is more patently obvious that the Pope should be the Nature Boy and AJ Styles should be just the goofy babyface.
The only reason I would say to not make Pope the new Nature Boy is that I think that's limiting the Pope. Pope can surpass that.
I just don't see AJ ever drawing any real money. I know that sounds horrible, but who... I mean, if you look at TNA business, there are very few people paying to see AJ Styles. Mm-hmm. He's a great high flyer, but his interviews are really no good. He doesn't really have much of a character. This new Nature Boy thing is not working.
No.
I don't know. Maybe someday he will be, but I see way more money in the Pope. Am I wrong? People are going to be outraged to hear that, but I'm afraid that I do. So anyway, they had this match, and it was in fact great. And AJ finally went for a suplex, and the Pope small packaged him for the pin.
Right.
So no sooner should this happen, but Flair jumps in the ring. They're double teaming the Pope, and Samoa Joe runs down to make the save. Flair chops Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe no-sells it. He rips his shirt off. Flair is so terrified by this no-selling Samoan that he begins to... Actually, he took a bump, I believe, and then sold. So the Pope finally recovered. The babyface has cleared the ring. Flair took a clothesline over the top rope from Joe for good measure. Geeks showed up to break it up. And so this was great. And then they went to commercial. When they came back, it was even greater. Ric Flair, thank God, took the microphone and cut the money promo for AJ Styles.
Yes.
Flair cut this fantastic promo about how Joe was... He said, this is a new TNA. Joe had better recognize this or he was going to get the shit kicked out of him.
He also screamed, "Do you want to die tonight?" repeatedly.
Do you want to die tonight? So then Joe cut what... I know that old ROH fans are going to be very upset about this, but this may have been the best promo of Joe's career. And it probably will make the most money of any promo that he cut during his career. But he was so fucking awesome, screaming back at Ric Flair. And I guess when this is your chance to go toe-to-toe on the mic with Ric Flair, you bust it all out, and that is exactly what he did. He talked about... He basically went ape shit on AJ, telling him that he sold out for overpriced suits and wholesale hookers. And he said that AJ needed to remember what it meant to be a champion, so that against all odds, he was going to get the shit kicked out of him, and he was cashing in his title shot. I thought this was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I really thought this was the best Samoa Joe promo I've ever seen.
No, this whole segment from start to finish was just an epic win. We had a very fun match. We had, both guys looked awesome, and we had another challenger set up now because Pope pinned AJ clean, so...
Actually, I do question that.
Well, we'll get to that in a second, but then we had the fun brawl afterwards, the post-match brawl with the Ric Flair Samoa Joe confrontation, which ruled. Then we had the Ric Flair Samoa Joe verbal debate, which ruled, and then it was over and it was done, and we had a main event for the pay-per-view. Now, I noted this after the brawl, but before the promos began, that we had, at the time, Samoa Joe as a top contender, Bobby Lashley with a guaranteed title shot. Now the Pope has pinned the champion, and they're also having a tournament for a title shot at the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
It's
absurd.
There are worse things than having too many strong challengers, but it's quite the muddle.
And what would be worse? Having
no good challengers.
Okay, but this is okay. That's the only thing worse. Okay. You're watering this down by having so many challengers for the title. The Joe, AJ, Flair stuff was so awesome. They're building up this title match. It's fucking great. But the Pope just pinned AJ.
Yeah.
It's fucking idiotic. Just idiotic. So that part, and I love the Pope. I just sat here talking about how I see more money in the Pope than AJ Styles. With that said, if AJ's your fucking champion, and he's going to headline the next pay-per-view against Samoa Joe, and you're going to have this awesome brawl and promo battle between the two guys, why the fuck would you beat AJ?
Oh, no.
So then Eric met with... I'm sorry, I skipped Angelina doing a promo. Didn't have to do it.
She said the beautiful people will get involved.
So Eric met with Kevin backstage, and Eric Young had been there talking to Nash, but Bischoff totally blew him off. And after he left, he said, and I quote, "Another name I probably won't remember in the morning." What a burial. So he said he wanted a favor from Nash. told him to go out tonight and destroy Foley. Just wipe the floor with him. Which, by the way, that's a favor. Shouldn't Nash want to do that?
I don't
Was
know.
Nash planning on going out and losing? Or going out and getting beaten by this guy?
I don't know. Maybe he was going to take it easy on Mick and just do enough to win.
So anyway,
backslide or something.
Nash said, if you want a favor, you need to do me a favor. Handle this deal with Hall and Waltman. And Bischoff basically told him, how about you do this or you may be next? Christie interviewed Foley. And at least Mick is only in like 3 segments on every show now as opposed to 16 like he was in before. But anyway, she asked him about or Biss walked up and was freaking out about this whole deal, and Foley said he was going to solve the problem tonight by taking out Nash, and he said no matter how ugly it got, Abyss needed to promise to stay backstage. Don't go to the ring, he said. You need to make me that promise. And I simply thought, why? Am I missing a key part of the story here?
I guess because part of the reason Abyss's job status is tenuous is because Hogan told him he had to tone down the craziness, I guess. I'm sort of trying to connect the dots here, and I'm not sure I'm doing it very well.
Well, let's just move on.
All right.
Tomko, maybe Crumbly has an answer to that one. Tomko and Abyss in the 8 hard stud tournament. This was a very, very enjoyable match.
Yes.
It was like the best match Tomko's ever had. Angle works every match like it's a pay-per-view main event. He Germaned the shit out of him and put him in the ankle lock for the submission. I very much enjoyed this except for one thing. The announcers explained that the 8 hard stud tournament was a way for Hogan to give Kurt another shot at the title after the screw job. They really said this.
I missed that line.
Hogan is in charge. He signed a match. A crooked ref fucked Kurt Angle. And so apparently the only way Hogan could give him another shot was to create a tournament that he was going to be in. Why could Hogan not just give him a rematch?
I don't know.
With a different ref?
I don't know.
Okay, this was one of those moments where I thought, it's 2010, it's the new regime, Russo has an editor in Eric Bischoff, it's much better, but it's still Vince Russo writing Impact. It's just, he's still writing Impact. You're still going to have these segments where it makes absolutely no sense. This makes no sense.
No, I can't argue.
Hogan is doing one thing after another. He's making one decision after another, but he can't just give the guy a rematch. Hogan fucking went back on a pay-per-view stipulation.
Yes, he did.
Hogan came out and said, I know that the stipulation was that if you don't win this match, you don't get a rematch all year. But I'm changing it because I can.
Yeah.
Okay?
But then he didn't do it twice.
You can do that, but the second time when a crooked ref fucks the guy over, you have no power to just book a rematch.
That does make it worse because they set a precedent that Hulk could do anything, and then he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So, yes, you're correct. That is stupid. Fortunately, I didn't catch that line, so I just sat back and enjoyed the match. And my favorite thing about this was, usually in wrestling, you will see, there'll be a heat segment and then a big comeback. They will go back and forth in the near falls and one guy will win. This was put together like a UFC fight where the first round is close and the second round is complete domination. Because the last several minutes of this were just Kurt Angle doing a bunch of German suplexes and he put on the ankle lock and won. So it was a definite, clean, and decisive winner here. There was no question Kurt Angle was better than Tomko by the end of this match.
Yeah, he was the better man. Like we needed to have a wrestling contest to prove that.
Not that we needed that demonstrated, but we did get it demonstrated. We got clips of their London tour, which made
we didn't. We got photographs.
I'm sorry, we got photographs.
Apparently they did not bring video cameras.
In 2010, they did not have, even cell phones have video cameras these days.
Yes.
But we didn't get that. We got photographs, and I forgot about this until you mentioned it. I didn't see a mention of Rob Terry's title win.
No.
So I don't know if they'll bring that up next week or they forgot.
Nash met with Hogan backstage. It's going to be really funny when like in 2 weeks after all the TV is wrapped up and they can finally announce that Rob Terry's won the title, they announced that he won it on the European tour, which 2 weeks prior they'd showed clips of and not mentioned a single thing.
Sure.
It's still Impact, everybody. Nash met with Hogan backstage, said Eric came in and gave him the whole rundown on Foley. He said he was on the team and all. He didn't write Foley all that much, but he was going to do this, and he just wanted Hogan to please give Scott and Sean another chance. And Hogan told him he had a sweet deal. He needed to distance himself from him. Nash said they needed him more than ever, and Hogan said, yeah, but they're goofier than ever. And he told him, don't let them suck you in. You know how they are.
Hulk came off as like the nicest tough love friend here.
Hogan is the aging philosopher.
Yes.
It's hilarious.
It is.
It is hilarious.
He advised Nash that you've gone out of your way, you've done everything you can for them, but it's time to get away and stay away. He came off so friendly and likable here.
Tara versus Angelina Love for the Knockouts title. Did mat wrestling early. It was fine. And anyway, Tara won with the cradle. All I know is that I spent the entire match. We had another impact moment here. I spent the entire match trying to figure out why Tara's chest was blurred. I presumed a boob popped out. Because, boob pops out, they blur it. However, it was blurred. They kept wrestling. It was still blurred. There was another wrestler in there. There was a ref in there.
No one told her, your boob's out?
Yeah, nobody bothered to say, hey, your tit's hanging out. So then they'd have these other shots, and, they blurred a little bit, but they don't. It's not like white. You can kind of see what's behind the blur a little bit. And it looks like her bra is in a perfectly normal place.
There was no, clean nipple or anything.
No, I mean it wasn't like it was pulled open a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like, okay, she must have an areola the size of a dinner plate. That's like the only
to be sticking out of this particular bra.
Yeah, it's the only way, because you could see her bra still on, and it seemed to be covering 80%
where the nipple should be
of her breast.
Yes.
And I'm sitting there going, what in the fuck is going on? And then we started thinking, okay, well, does she have a logo on there that they don't want on TV? Which, of course, harkens back to that one time where she wore tap-out shorts, and they didn't want tap-out logo on TV, so they blurred the entire thing out. And I just thought, you Mickey Mouse goofballs, okay? You guys don't want whatever this logo was on television. It was two options. It was either A, her tit was hanging out for an entire match. They still aired the match on TV, and nobody during the match told her that it was hanging out. That was A. Or B, she had a logo that TNA did not want on TV, and not a single fucking person in that company told her to change her top. It's either way.
Yeah, one of those.
Either way, this is a Mickey Mouse organization. God, this pissed me off. First off, it was so distracting.
Yeah.
You couldn't even pay attention to the match. You're just looking at this blur trying to figure out what in cock's name is going on. And then, the other option is just as ridiculous. This pissed me off so much.
It didn't anger me. It fascinated me about what could...
Because you think of what a bitch it must be for production.
Yes.
To have to blur that out for the entire match. Mm-hmm. It's not like you just push, hey, blur tits, and it blurs them out. No, there's a lot of work that goes into this. Spike TV can't even fucking afford graphics for Ultimate Fighter, and these assholes have to blur her chest the whole time? This was just bad times. So, Angle stormed into Hulk's office, and flipped out, and Hogan basically said, listen, I don't even want to give these two contracts. I have not given these two contracts. And you think that I'm hiring them to do my dirty work? And Angle basically said, I don't trust you as far as I can throw you, and just be aware that this is your last warning. And then Hogan stood up and said, do me a favor, brother, and get out of my office. And that was that.
He left with nothing settled. I just like the line when he said, I don't trust you as far as I can throw you. I thought, I bet you could throw him pretty far.
Probably could. Nash and Foley in a no DQ match. Nash came out with a shopping cart full of weapons. Foley came out with a barbed wire bat.
They had the most G-rated weapons brawl you ever saw in your life.
This started with 4 minutes left on the show.
Yeah, that's that too.
Why even bother?
Don't know.
You couldn't have cut out the women's match and had these guys go a little bit longer or something. So, it was the saddest match I've ever seen. They swung weapons at each other in slow motion. Foley did a low blow. Actually, this was a highlight of the match because Taz said, and I quote, that'll definitely separate your yam bag from your coccyx. Those are the exact words.
I need to pay more attention to Taz.
He was awesome. So then Foley picked up something, paused, Nash booted him in the face, 1, 2, 3. So yes, Kevin Nash pinned Mick Foley in a hardcore match clean in 2 minutes.
With a big boot.
Way to go, Impact. So the storyline was that the reason Foley hesitated was because the object he picked up was the caricature of him and Borash. God bless Mick Foley. God bless Jeremy Borash. Both nice guys. I hate that storyline.
It's very terrible.
I hate that storyline. I don't ever want to hear the tweak and tweak connection again. I don't ever want to hear of that caricature again. It pisses me off. So then, afterwards, Hall and Nash hit the ring. Actually, Hall and Waltman teased they were going to attack Foley, but of course they
swerved,
stomped a mud hole in Nash, setting up. Let me tell you something, everybody.
I have no idea what it sets up.
It's obvious. Nash and Foley against Waltman and Hall in a tag match.
What a terrible idea.
As much as
idea.
People have made fun of the idea of the Nasty Boys versus Team 3D, that is going to be 100 times the match of Mick Foley and Kevin Nash against Sean Waltman and Scott Hall. That is going to be horrendous. Horrendous. And it's coming up on pay-per-view, apparently, everybody. So anyway, this show fell off a massive cliff at the end.
In hindsight, it really did.
A massive cliff.
Yeah, I had good feelings about this when the show ended, and there was a lot of good stuff on this. The first 3/4 of the show was really good.
Let me just say, even though it fell off a massive cliff, I'm going to give it 2 thumbs up, because I'm going to go back down later on tonight, and I'm going to watch that entire Ric Flair, Pope, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe segment again, and I'm going to love every single solitary second of it.
Indeed.
That should have ended the show.
Yeah, you would think.
That is another example right there of how, when all is said and done, it's still Impact.
They're doomed.
They felt Hall and Waltman and Nash and Foley was a far better close for the show than AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, the Pope, and Ric Flair.
They were wrong.
Yes.
They were wrong. So
Foley was right, and that there's no evidence right now that Eric learned anything from WCW. We're still waiting. To the back! All right, let's do some Impact and Impact. There was one fabulous segment with Ric Flair, AJ Styles, and Samoa Joe. Much of the rest of the show, it's still Impact. What can I say? It's still Impact. I'm feeling it more and more with each passing week.
Well, on that note,
they need to get rid of the guy writing this show. I've said this for years now. Vince Russo does not have any idea what he's doing. All right? Yeah. I gave them the benefit of the doubt on January 4th. I gave them the benefit of the doubt for a couple of shows. It's now back to close to the same old bullshit. It's still better. I will say that. It is still better than the worst. Still no good. Let's talk about why.
Well, a minor detail, but I recall there's about 6 months worth of Impacts in a row. All started with the main event Moxley coming out for a promo. Now it's the same thing, except it's Hulk Hogan and or Eric Bischoff. The show will open with one of them coming out for a promo every single week. Now this week was Hogan, and to his credit, he cut a great promo, even by his own standards. He declared that this place was crack-a-lackin', Jack. Yes. He talked about being recognized in airports and asked about TNA, and he said, "I feel like I'm cool again."
Yeah.
He said that he knew Six-Pac and Scott Hall would be, after the trouble they caused last week, jumping Kurt Angle. He announced the building was on lockdown, and they would be kept out. He told everyone that if they had to go to the bathroom, they better hold it, because they were not be allowed in or out. He said that as cool as Hall and Waltman were, he said they had swaggered across the line. "I can see taking someone out," he said, "because sometimes you've got to do what you've got to do." But he said they had crossed the line somehow. He threatened to put the red and yellow on and deal with this problem firsthand.
Aren't you supposed to cross the line in TNA? Isn't that the whole gimmick?
I just like the line where he said, "I can see taking someone out because sometimes you've got to do what you've got to do." Yeah. In the world of pro wrestling, that is not necessarily an evil thing. So he's ranting on and being Hulk Hogan and being awesome. He's interrupted by Eric Young.
Yeah.
Eric Young interrupted Hulk Hogan. Came out, got in the ring, and the fans chanted "underrated," which I swear to God, in all sports I've ever watched, I don't think I've ever heard anyone chant before. They chanted "underrated," madam.
At Eric Young.
Yeah. Well, he could, in a way.
In what way?
The fact that he has good wrestling matches and never gets to have them on TV.
No.
All right.
They didn't chant underrated. Anyway, go on. I'll rant later.
All right. So he announced that he was tight with Kevin Nash. I'm sorry, Nash, not Angle, was the guy who got jumped by Hall and Waltman last week. Anyway, he wanted Hall and Nash. I said Hall and Nash. He wanted Hall and Waltman into the building so he could deal with them personally. And somewhere in here he mentioned that he didn't think Hulk knew who he was. So Hulk listed Eric's credentials as Team Canada and former tag team champion and leader of the World Elite. He said guys like Eric were the reason that Hulk was there. That being said, he was not going to unban Hall and Waltman. He said Eric would have to go after them. So Hulk told him point blank to assault them off the property and bust them up real bad.
Yeah.
Which is a strange thing for someone to say.
Yeah.
But I love Hulk Hogan here, and the storyline made sense. I thought this was a fun segment.
I got a little upset because Hogan's talking about how you know, like you said, he says, I can understand busting a guy up. You got to do what you got to do. But then he was like, what they did to Nash last week crossed the line. And I thought, wouldn't this be a nice time for a video recap?
Sure.
It'd be a nice time to show us what they did to Kevin Nash last week. Never bothered. So, again, it's one of those little things that would have been nice to be reminded. I mean, did they really do anything worse than taking the man out, which apparently, according to Hogan, is okay, because sometimes you got to do what you got to do?
It actually backs up your point, because halfway through this, I thought it was... I remember them beating up Kurt Angle. I had forgotten until I started recapping this that it was Kevin Nash they beat up last week. So, yes, a video recap here would have been good.
We had Foley backstage looking for Eric. Oh, God. Pope and Orlando Jordan in a hard 8 match, which was perfect for Orlando Jordan, actually. His lockup, still horrendous. But
does have a fat robe.
The match itself actually was not too bad. I did laugh when he was beating the shit out of Pope. He had the heat on Pope, and the people are chanting, Pope is pimping, as his ass is being handed to him. All right. Chanted, you still suck at Orlando. So they're brawling in the corner. Pope finally spun around, punched him repeatedly, spun him around, then ran and hit the double knees to the back for the pin. Right man won the match here. I don't have as big a problem as Orlando's I've had in the first few weeks, but still, his lockup is ungodly bad.
This was a good match, and at least he lost here. And he lost to the Pope.
And it's also parody because the last time they wrestled, he beat Pope clean.
Well, they did show a video recap of this, but they were clear to mention that Orlando won because Pope hurt his knee the night before. They made this point blank. The last time Orlando got a win he didn't really deserve, and tonight he got his comeuppance. The better man won. Pope is in the tournament. Yay, Pope!
We had Jeff meeting with Eric backstage, the new most overexposed character on the show, Eric Bischoff. I mean, he's great as a heel, but it's now starting to get to bordering on turn-off heat. Like, I would like to turn the channel when Eric comes on.
He is on here a lot.
So, Jeff said, hey, did you see that match a couple of weeks ago? I hope I delivered for you. And Eric said, yes, I can't think of a match in the last 10 years I've enjoyed more than that one. He said this is what he said, almost the exact words. He said, Jeff, you had great psychology in working that match. Great psychology in working that match.
Word psychology specifically was used.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
He said it made him reconsider their relationship. Jeff said there were 2 slots open in hard 8. He wanted one of them. And Eric said, you're such a valuable asset, and I want to get the most out of every athlete, but also protect them. And I don't think you're ready. Plus, he said, you wanted to start from the bottom, and that doesn't sound like starting from the bottom to me. Told him to go to the gym, work hard, be the exemplary wrestler he knew he could be. And basically said no. And then he cackled, and Jeff walked off, and
Eric said, bye, Jeff!
So my question was Bischoff lying about all of the great worker bullshit? I presume it was just to be a prick.
There was some of this was Eric being just to be a prick. The line about how he enjoyed that match more than anything he had seen in the past 10 years, that's because Jarrett lost, you see. So he was rubbing it in. But, yes, that's what was going on there.
All right.
I see you're very impressed.
Matt Morgan in Suicide, hard 8. Matt pinned him in like 2 minutes with the kick.
Not quite a squash, but pretty close.
Yeah. So guess who's on the screen again? Eric.
Yeah.
Now Foley is meeting with Eric.
I will say, by the way, in that match, the crowd was chanting for Morgan over Suicide, which I would not have believed possible 2 months ago. So they are indeed doing something right.
So Foley said he'd do whatever Eric wanted as long as Eric made sure that Borash and Abyss were taken care of. And Bischoff said he was thrilled that Mick had come to this decision, but he said he was a man of his word. As far as he was concerned, Abyss and Borash were fine. Now, of course, he said this, and we never saw Borash on the entire show.
Or Abyss.
So he said he was going to give Abyss one of the spots in the 8 hard stud tournament. And then he announced that Abyss's opponent in that tournament was going to be Foley. So I guess Foley got the last slot. And he banned Foley from wearing the flannel, I guess, and said if there were any shenanigans in Foley versus Abyss, then Abyss would be unmasked at the next Impact. There you go.
All right, so they have to wrestle. They cannot do a finger poke situation or anything there.
Brackets for the pay-per-view: Pope and Desmond, Hernandez and Morgan, Angle and Mr. Anderson. I'm actually looking forward to that match.
Oh, yeah.
And Abyss versus Foley.
Especially after the promo they did next. Yes, but congratulations, TNA. You did have brackets. We were very happy about that. We know what's going on. Some of the matches are kind of funky. Well, Hernandez and Morgan against each other is one of those, isn't that convenient things. Especially since they're the two guys in the mid-card who have been elevated in the past month or so, and now one of them has to lose. Unless they go to a draw, which sounds terrible.
We had Christie interviewing Angle and Mr. Anderson, and, of course, they're facing off Sunday, but teaming up later tonight. And Anderson said he carried plenty of men in his career, but he said it was all about 8 hard stud. And Angle said
he was going off about how he was going to win, going to be TNA champion, talking for a long time, and the whole time Kurt Angle was staring at him with a stare that says, "I hate you, you geek."
Yeah.
It was phenomenal.
So Angle said, "Listen, I don't know what your intentions are, but if you fuck me over, I'm going to snap your ankle faster than that stupid microphone could drop from the ceiling." And he walked off screen, and then he came back, and he closed his fists, and he put his thumbs together, and he made the symbol for snapping.
And he said, "Snap."
That made it wacky. But
then they got wacky.
It got wackier as the microphone dropped from the ceiling backstage.
In the dressing room.
So Kennedy could do his spiel.
He has superpowers. He can make a microphone drop from anywhere. They need to somehow do a skit when he's out on the street, and a microphone drops out of the sky.
Angle met with Eric Young. Said he appreciated what he was trying to do tonight, which, of course, was go and beat up Hall and Waltman. But he said as a veteran, he was telling him that he could not win this fight. Said that they couldn't trust Hogan because Hogan would do anything to be the center of attention. And Kurt said he was going to go find them, that being Hall and Waltman, and he was going alone. And he demanded Eric not go with him.
This made no sense.
I have absolutely no idea.
What unless they just wanted to make everyone think that Kurt Angle thinks Eric Young is a geek and Eric Young agrees. Because what Kurt said was, "You can't fight them alone. I will fight them alone instead."
Yeah.
And Eric said, "Okay."
And I don't want help.
And Eric said, "I won't help you, I guess." And by the way, Eric Young had nothing else to do in the show. Kurt, as noted in the prior segment, had a tag match.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know.
Kurt can fight 2 men after having a tag match better than Eric can fight 2 men fresh.
We had the second best segment on the show, Doug Williams and Red for the X title. And by the way, the goose of the Impact Zone chanting underrated at Eric Young and not at Doug Williams, that right there, tragedy.
Fair point.
They had a great TV match. Red made an awesome comeback, went up top, missed a splash, did a charge. Doug sent him hard into the post, and then hit the Chaos Theory German suplex for the pin. A fucking great television match here.
Ruled. My favorite part was actually when Doug got the heat. Red was flying around and doing a million spins and dives and keeping Red off balance with his, or keeping Doug off balance with his quickness. And then he went for like the lucha wheelbarrow, and Doug caught him and then just planted his face into the ground. Repeatedly.
Yeah, like 3 times.
Oh, it was great. So then Red made his big comeback, got a bunch of near falls, including a believable near fall off a missile drop kick. Mm-hmm. It's just a top rope drop kick. People thought that was going to be the finish. And Doug kicked out of everything, and then, as noted, hit his finisher clean and won. He was the man here. It ruled.
Angelina and Tara apparently friends now, and they faced the beautiful people 2-on-3. And opened up with Velvet avoiding Angelina early, and then they cut her off, and then they did a tag, and then Tara got cut off, and they did a spot in here where Lacey actually did a backflip off the middle rope, landed on her feet, and then dropped an elbow. It's incredible.
Wow.
It's the most athletic thing she's ever done in her entire life. So, double out tag Angelina and Velvet. It broke down into an enormous cluster. Angelina super kicked Velvet. Ref was distracted. Lacey ran in, hit her with the pink dildo, put Velvet on top for the pin. Taz said, and I quote, "Not exactly poetry in motion."
Yeah.
I'll say.
I had really liked the show up to this point, and then this match completely fell apart. Can't win them all. There was a point as Velvet was doing her entrance, and Taz referred to her, and this is a direct quote, piston-like buttocks.
Piston-like buttocks.
Piston-like buttocks. Oh, then later they were wrestling. Madison couldn't really take an arm drag, so Taz referred to the action as herky-jerky. And then, like they say, after commercial, the whole match was pretty much a giant mess. So, what can you do?
Heels beat up Tara afterwards, and there was not a third girl in the back to come out and make the save. What can you do? We had one of the worst segments on Impact in a long time. I don't know how many times I've talked about how horrible Christy Hemme is at her job. She interviewed Desmond Wolfe. Desmond Wolfe is trying to cut a heel promo, and she is giggling and laughing like he's doing stand-up comedy. Astoundingly bad.
It undermined the segment like the laughter was fake, like Michael Cole's fake laugh, except I think...
She was really laughing.
Yes, I believe she was sincerely laughing, but it had the same effect of ruining it.
I just could not believe this segment made television. I just absolutely could not believe it. And they've also, they won't allow him to say, "I'll kill you." Now he has to say, "I'll end you." Could be worse, I guess.
Yeah. It is definitely not as cool.
Remember the Boogeyman used to say, "I'm the Boogeyman and I'm going to kill you"?
No, did he?
That's how it used to be.
I don't remember that.
"I'm the Boogeyman and...
I'm coming to get you."
I
thought that was it from day one.
No, they changed it in WWE.
"I'm going to kill you" was his catchphrase.
Sworn he said something like that.
"I'm the Boogeyman and I'm going to kill you."
Yes.
Not even eat you, just kill you.
No. Carlos the Dwarf can confirm this because he's probably got all of his Ohio Valley tapes. And it was something similar to that, and they changed it to "I'm the Boogeyman and I'm coming to get you."
I'm going to kill you. "I'm the Boogeyman and I'm going to kill you."
It was awesome. If anybody has that on a drop of that, please email it to me immediately so we can just laugh uproariously.
God, at this point, I'm not sure it can live up to the hype.
I'm gonna have to investigate.
I'm not sure it can be as funny as what I have in my head.
You do no, it's funnier.
Well, speaking of funny, Scott Hall and Sean Waltman arrived. They had been banned from the building, so they were sneaking about.
They were trying to sneak into the building.
They were walking on tiptoe. Meanwhile, they were on camera, and the enormous fucking light was on them.
Yeah. They were sneaking in on tiptoe.
Yes. All I could think was they must have been completely ripped to think they were still being stealthy, as a giant fucking light was on them.
God, I'm almost sure it's "I'm the Boogeyman and I'm going to kill you." Somebody help me out here. What was it? Whatever it was, they changed it in WWE, and it was very, very sad. All right, next up we had, where the hell are we?
Desmond Wolfe and Hernandez.
That's right.
Against Kurt Angle and Mr. Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
So all four of these men are in the Hard 8 tournament. Angle and Anderson are first-round opponents. Desmond Wolfe and Hernandez are not. So I don't know why this match happened.
Wait, what? Who? What?
Kurt Angle and Mr. Anderson, who are partners here, are first-round opponents in the tournament.
Oh, I see. No, they just took randomly four guys.
Okay, that was how it worked.
Yeah.
There was one absurd point. This is a minor detail, but it annoyed the hell out of me. Hernandez grabbed a hammerlock on Kurt Angle. And Kurt Angle could not escape and had to get the ropes.
Yeah. I was actually more annoyed. They did a spot where Angle put Desmond in the ankle lock. Desmond tapped out and there was no ref. Normally something like this happens right at the end. No, this happened during the heat.
It was in the middle of the match for no reason.
Absolutely no reason whatsoever in the middle of the match. So Angle made a one-man comeback. Desmond cut him off, set up for the Tower of London. Angle gave him the angle slam. Anderson blind tagged himself in, tossed Kurt out, stole the pin. Finish was good. The match was really good when Angle and Desmond were in there. The rest...
Yes. Well, the story of the match, too, on the whole, was really good. It was that Kurt Angle, they got the heat on Angle, and then his partner abandoned him. And so he just made his own comeback and kicked both their asses. So the point here is to make Kurt look like the man and make Mr. Anderson look like a dick for abandoning his partner, and apparently to make Desmond Wolfe look like a geek for tapping out to the ankle lock and later getting pinned.
We then had the best segment on the show by a country mile. Joe came out and called out AJ. They actually put AJ in a fancy-ass suit and designer sunglasses. It was by far... AJ has never looked like a superstar to this degree ever in his life. This was the best he's ever looked. And Joe was disgusted out there in his T-shirt and shorts.
Well, jeans.
Said it was funny. He basically did a babyface promo, and the heels sneered. And Flair ended up grabbing the mic and said he wasn't going to talk, but they were going to establish one thing, and that was that AJ was the champion. He was the flagship, and Joe was going to learn what respect was all about. And Joe told Flair to strut his ass down to the ring, and he'd put him in the hospital. And Joe went on this big rant about how AJ cheated the people out of what they wanted, a champion. And finally AJ grabbed the mic and he said, listen, you have turned... I think he said the exact line was something like, you've turned more coats than a cleaning company or something like that.
Dry cleaner, yeah.
Basically just saying he'd gone heel to face 1,000,000 times. And who are you to judge the phenomenal AJ Styles, he asked. And Joe claimed that his transgressions were his own, but at least he said, I stood up to all the newcomers, unlike you, who got down on your knees, and I thought he was going to say, sucked Flair's dick.
I thought he was going to be slightly cleaner and say kiss his ass.
No.
But instead it was even cleaner than that and kiss his ring.
Yeah.
To which AJ got inappropriately angry.
Flair got really angry. AJ took off his jacket, hit the ring in his dress clothes. Joe went to work on him, set up for the muscle buster. Flair hit a low blow. They worked him over. And then Ric Flair cut a promo on Joe's downed body. This was awesome. Second week in a row that Ric Flair has been the highlight of the program.
Oh, that's not shocking.
And I also think... What?
That's not shocking.
Oh. I also think this was AJ's best out-of-the-ring performance, maybe of his life. As far as his interviews and his look and the whole 9 yards, he actually looked like the world champion, I think, for the first time ever.
There were a few points, especially in this next segment, where he was clearly... He has been practicing his Ric Flair impressions.
Yeah.
When it first started, it was clearly a redneck doing a bad Ric Flair impression. Now it's a guy who is trying to let Flair's promos influence his own. It's much better. But the highlight to me of this was where he pointed out that, you know, right before he asked, who are you to judge the phenomenal AJ Styles, when he talked about Joe turning on everyone. So he was in the front line, then the main event Mafia. He asked how the Nation of Violence was going now that the main event Mafia had dried up. He said that maybe one day he would go out there and join Taz on commentary, except then he would stab Taz in the back. And all of this was valid points.
Which he had before, actually.
Yes, this all made perfect sense. So that's what made it great. That and Ric Flair.
Actually, AJ did a deal backstage afterwards where basically Eric announced that AJ and Joe was too important to screw up, and so he was going to be the special guest referee. So yeah, more Eric.
Yes, to save the day.
And by the way, I have no idea what Eric's character is. He's an asshole to the babyfaces. He's an asshole to the heels.
That's his character, Brian.
He's just an asshole.
He is just a colossal dick.
Okay, so is he going to main event a pay-per-view here? And I mean, what?
I don't know.
I don't know. But anyway, AJ was being too poor man's Ric Flair in this particular segment. I thought he was phenomenal, to use the term, in the segment when Flair was out there and he was yelling at Joe. But back here with Bischoff, I thought it was just too hokey.
Well, here's where I liked it, so I guess we just saw it differently. But the way he would just the voice inflection in certain words, it was. I know it was
too much of a Ric Flair ripoff. I thought the segment out in front of the people was far more, using a little bit of Flair but still being AJ Styles, which is what you want. And backstage it was like he was playing Ric Flair on Halloween. We don't need that.
On that same note, I think he may have borrowed Ric Flair's jacket because out of the ramp he had it buttoned up and it looks fine. He was walking around here with it unbuttoned and it looked enormous on him.
Angle met with Hogan, going nuts about how he couldn't trust him. Hogan said, listen, if you want to get your ass beat, go out there, call him out. I'll leave a door open so that someone can run out and save your ass when they're beating on it. And Angle said, I'll bet you anything I'll see you out there with him. This
segment confused me because, as you recall earlier, Hulk had banned Scott Hall and Sean Waltman from the building. Then he had told Eric to go fight them outside. Then Hulk announced that this fight would be in his house, so go get in the ring. So Eric Young can only fight on the outside of the building, But Kurt Angle can only fight on the inside of the building.
I have no idea. I didn't even bother trying to figure this out.
So
Angle goes down to the ring, calls him out. They kind of hit the ring.
It was actually really, really awesome because he called out Hall and Waltman. They came through the crowd.
Waltman could barely get over the barricade.
Hall, you mean?
No, Waltman.
What, really?
Waltman could barely get over the barricade.
He still got in there way faster than Scott Hall.
Yes, he did.
Because he hit the ring. He got in there, hit the ring. He won the race to the ring, and the prize for winning this race was an enormous ass-kicking at the hands of Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
So Kurt destroys him, takes him to the corner. The camera is such that we see Kurt destroying Sean Waltman in the corner, and between their legs in the background, we see Scott Hall still struggling to get over the guardrail. Kurt Angle stops beating up Sean Waltman and turns to face Scott Hall, realizes Scott Hall is not yet in the ring, and goes back to beat up Sean Waltman more.
Yes.
Scott Hall eventually, in the time it took the dinosaurs to live and die out, he got into the ring. Angle was beating...
This is a taped show, by the way.
What's that?
This is a taped show.
Yes.
They could not have edited this.
They could not have edited it out to make Scott Hall get the ring faster. Eventually he got there. Kurt Angle beat up both of them until Sean Waltman brought out brass knucks, laid Kurt out with a gimmick. They began to double team him. Hulk Hogan's music began to play. He strutted down to the ring, doing all his old NWO style mannerisms, all the strutting and whatnot. Sean and Waltman and Hall pointed at him, indicating, hey, he's on our side. Hulk got in the ring.
Taz was actually sitting there saying that Kurt was right all along, and Hogan was in on it.
Yep.
So basically, because it's TNA, they just told us it was a swerve.
Basically, yes.
Which it was.
It was. So, yes, they did the old NWO finger point deal, and he said, hey, give me those knucks. And they did, and they held Kurt Angle to be punched, and Hulk reared back like he was going to drill Kurt with the knuckles, and they punched Scott Hall in the head. Scott Hall took this enormous bump, and Sean Waltman was outraged and surprised and caught off guard, and so he stepped forward, and Hulk grabbed his head, reared back, and then looked at the crowd on all sides of the ring, and looked at them for a good long while. So Waltman waved his arms in the air and ran in place, unable to do anything. Yes. As Hulk Hogan looked at the crowd.
Trapped.
Until finally Hulk hit him, and Waltman took this incredible bump for this.
He leaped high in the air.
Yes, waved his arms about.
Landed flat on his back and just lay there in dead man's position.
And as of that second, right there, Sean Waltman was my favorite wrestler. I reserve the right to change my mind at any point.
He was fantastic.
But he was my favorite wrestler when that show has ended, and I have not seen any wrestling since then. So right now, Sean Waltman is still my favorite wrestler.
He sold the anticipation of the punch and the punch so well that it actually made this entire segment worth it.
It was such awesome, old-school, goofy heel stuff.
Now, does it beg the question, what in the living fuck did this have to do with the pay-per-view on Sunday?
I don't know.
This was the go-home show.
I concur.
This was the final segment on the go-home show. I have absolutely no idea why anybody would buy this pay-per-view on Sunday.
Perhaps they're really intrigued by the tournament.
Wow.
Because I did get, as much as we liked that one segment.
And the winner just gets a title shot at some point.
At some other point. And
we've not seen that with 8 guys in the past 6 months.
As much as we liked the AJ, Joe, Flair segment, it still came off after the show was over like the title match was second banana to the tournament itself. I don't think that's good.
They're both. Did we see Team 3D and the Nasty Boys at all on this go-home show?
No, we did not.
Oh, this place. No one's buying this show. It's same old shit. I don't have the rating yet, but probably 1-2. It's just...
I enjoyed the show. That's all that counts.
Still TNA, everyone. It's still TNA. To the back! Everybody needs to listen to the Jarrett interview today that I did here on the website. Especially you freeloaders. You need to sign up to listen to this one. A burial of TNA, Jeff Jarrett, his own son.
Really?
Impact, Vince Russo. Just a burial up and down. It was fabulous. I didn't say anything that nobody already knows, you know what I mean? They had a poor business plan. They were fucked. They were about to go out of business, which I predicted at the time. Money Mark stepped in. Jarrett wanted the fuck out. Couldn't get out. His son begged him to stay. Son brought in Russo, who knows jack shit about wrestling. And finally, Jerry had to take Vladimir Kozlov to WWE to sever his ties with TNA. Nearly died as a result of TNA. Had a heart attack. Doctor told him, whatever it is, if it's your work, if it's your wife, you need to get rid of him. Luckily for him, it was TNA.
Thank God for him it was not the wife.
I'm waiting for my doctor to say that. Brian, this TNA is going to kill you, brother. You're going to have to get rid of it.
I've got a medical degree.
Huh?
I've got a medical degree.
No, you don't.
Stop watching the Impact.
You don't.
Stop making me watch Impact.
So anyway, I just want everybody to listen to that right now. And God bless Impact, of course, as they move to Monday nights. But, you know, I just got to look at it this way. Whatever they get, they deserve. Whether it be success or failure. It's really all there is to it. Whatever they get, they deserve. They've made their bed. I mean, Jerry Jarrett said everything we've said a million times here on the show. He goes, I have no idea why when the company was started, I warned Jeff not to hire everybody from WCW. No fucking shit. He goes, where has Vince Russo ever drawn money? No fucking shit. No shit. Jerry just called it one thing after another. It's all true. It's all true. I just love reading stuff that Vince Russo has been saying nowadays as he promotes his book about how and why he writes television. How you need to write television. Who the fuck are you to tell me how to write television? What has your television ever achieved? Nothing.
My favorite line
You're
of
back
his...
down to a 1-2 again with Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Mick Foley, AJ Styles, Kurt Angle, and the list goes on and on. Back to a 1-2. What has your TV ever fucking accomplished? And you're going to tell me how to successfully write television? Boy, that got my dander up.
My favorite line was where he talked about how he had good stories, but the wrestlers would screw it up.
Oh, yeah.
Because no booker has ever had to deal with that before.
No, man. It's the history of wrestling is the story of wrestlers doing exactly what the booker told them to do.
Every single time out.
Never
Nothing has ever gone wrong.
No, there's never any tweaking by talent. It's only happened to Vince Russo.
Every wrestler has always done every job ever told to them.
This guy is just... Why am I even ranting about Vince Russo right now?
I actually have no idea.
Completely incompetent. It's just so great to listen to Jerry Jarrett say everything that I've been saying for years. This is not a mystery to anybody except Jeff Jarrett and Dixie Carter.
And Crumbly.
He said as soon as the Carters bought it, I just wanted out right then. He goes, non-wrestling people involved with wrestling is always a bad idea. Hence, 7 to 8 years of TNA as it currently is. He goes, how can they call themselves a success? They're being propped up by an energy company. How is that a success? When Jerry Jarrett had to book, back in the day, you made money or you went out of business. No more. No more. Now, you can be the worst fucking booker in the world, and as long as you've got someone holding you afloat, you can do every stupid fucking thing in the world and stay in business. That is not being a successful businessman. That is having somebody with money taking care of you. That is being what would be the equivalent in the real world? That is being the son of a rich man.
Basically, yeah. You're
the son of a rich man. You never have to have a job. Mm-hmm. You could be a bumblefuck your whole life. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. Your daddy is paying for everything.
Right.
That's what it is. It's like winning the lottery. It's like that goofball that's starting up Wrestlicious, okay? Does Wrestlicious ever have to really make any money? Of course not. A multi-millionaire is running it. They don't ever have to sell a single fucking ticket. Does that make that guy a good wrestling promoter? No, it makes him a Powerball winner. Everybody listen to the Jerry Jarrett interview. Just do me a favor. Just everybody listen to it right now. It's fabulous. What a fabulous man. I'm going to have to get him back on the show very, very soon. To the back! All right, go ahead and get started on this show. I need a break.
Eric Bischoff arrived, got out of his limo. He was on the phone with someone. I guess it was supposed to be Hogan, or he said Hogan would be there soon or something. But he teased there would be a new WWE arrival, someone coming from up north. And he smiled. And he
or who had been up north.
Or who had been there, yeah.
All I know is Eric Bischoff is simultaneously the greatest and the most horrible character I've ever seen. As a performer, he's been great on this show.
Yes.
I do not need to see him in 16 segments.
No.
And he's clearly not going to be main eventing any shows anytime soon. What is the payoff here for Bischoff being such a dick? I don't know. Is there a payoff coming of some sort? Or is he just always a dick?
It's just always...
What is the point of this?
Ask Foley about that, I guess. So there's some clips of the pay-per-view. This is important because I didn't see the show. They did make it clear that the Pope had won, and that he pinned Ken Anderson in the finals to win the tournament. And they also made it clear that AJ pinned Joe because Bischoff fucked up. Right?
I can't remember how he won.
Deep in thought.
I'm trying to remember what happened there.
I remember Bischoff diving outside to punch Ric Flair and then going in and reluctantly counting Joe out.
Yeah.
So, and also they announced them moving to Mondays. Pope came out. This is great news. He called AJ Styles Arthur I Have No Class Jackson, and his mentor, Nature Boy Dick Flair, said they would never be the Pope, because only he can be the Pope. Vowed to win a lockdown. He was interrupted by Flair and AJ and some really, really hot women.
They've actually been on the show before.
The girls?
Yeah, same three.
Good. Just keep these ones around. Flair got in the ring, and his first question was, he walked up to Pope and asked, "Can you read and write?" Which is, I've always said, if you're going to do racism, just do flagrant racism, and this was. So he opened his jacket, asked Pope to read the Armani label, said Pope at age 6 was praying to grow up like Ric Flair. Then he said he had been exhausted because, this is not his exact words, but he was exhausted because he and AJ had been banging the girls all week long. So Pope said AJ Styles, despite the new glasses and the new suit and the new haircut, he's still a piece of crap. Flair said Pope was still a street thug, said AJ's suit was worth more than Pope's parents. Pope then said...
He said the suit, he had invested more in the suit than Pope's mom and dad had in food stamps.
Ah, that's what he said, okay. Pope said the girls must have been writing Starlight Express, which I don't know if that was a reference to himself, or if that meant he was calling Flair and AJ gay. I really don't know what that meant.
I believe it was a reference to himself. He had also been banging with chicks.
I see.
Likely.
That's fine, yeah.
Quite frankly.
Yeah. So, anyway, he started a fight, but there was 2 of them, and he got overwhelmed. Some of this brawl was edited out. They attacked his scrotum unmercifully. Ball shot after ball shot after ball shot. And then they put his leg in a chair and stomped on that. And then they went to commercial with him in a figure 4 leg lock.
They Pillmanized his ankle.
Yeah.
That was the key. Then they put him in the figure 4, which leads to him wrestling next week, by the way.
Oh. See, that's funny because I figured, because he gets the title match at Lockdown, but the next pay-per-view is Destination Next, right?
Yeah.
So I figured they would do this ankle injury here to explain him not having a match at Lockdown. But I guess I was wrong.
Lockdown?
Or not having a match at Destination Next.
Regardless, you're wrong.
I'm already confused.
Tara and Daphne, and, you know, I always like when commentators are not just complete liars. Like the teacher's fallen off a cliff. Because he's completely full of shit. To the point where when he's telling the truth, I still think he's full of shit. So, Tara comes out, and she's got her spider, and she's wrestling Daphne, and Taz explains that Daphne's not scared of the spider. Way to kill the gimmick!
Well,
how many guys came out and Gorilla Monsoon was like, well, he ain't scared of Jake Snake.
Well, that'd be none.
That would be none.
Ever.
How many people's gimmick is they're not afraid of The Undertaker? In the end, everyone's afraid of The Undertaker. No matter how much they say they're not, the lights go out and they pee themselves. Okay? Why do you... Just little things like that. Why would you kill that gimmick? So anyway, she comes out with a spider
to get Daphne over.
Daphne's not afraid of, and...
So, they had a very bad match.
It was horrendous.
Daphne.
No, actually, both of them are like mirrors of each other. If they're going to throw a punch, they put both arms out as... Daphne... Tara's always having her arms straight out on each side like this. Like she's going to throw a kick and she'll put both arms out and then throw a kick.
Yeah.
Like she's trying to take flight with every single move.
You're not wrong. I was just watching Daphne take bumps and run the ropes, and just it boggles my mind. Because again, she's not new.
No.
She's been doing this for a long time.
A very bad match. I will say the positive is that they ended up outside. Daphne hit her with a toolbox, and that was... And by the way, that's the actual thing you put tools in, not one of their fans.
Or anything, yeah.
Yeah, not one of the front rowers. But anyway, DQ. So they are enforcing the rules now. Positive. Huge positive.
So, yeah. So then she beat her up with a lot more stuff. She threw a guardrail on top of Tara and hit the guardrail with a chair until finally Dr. Stevie came out to make the save. And
he's still employed.
Dr. Stevie's still employed. I don't know if because he's friends with Daphne or because he used to be friends with Victoria in WWE. But all I could think was, does this feud really need to happen? Tara versus Daphne. Do I need to see this again? I don't think so. I also like Tara came to the ring with a shirt that said, I'm not making this up, Tara Rising. Mm-hmm. That has to be a giant rib. There's no other explanation. And then she did the big babyface spot like Lita used to do where she tears her shirt off and throws it in the crowd, except she almost exposed her boob again. So she needs, apparently, more practice undressing.
Make a bet with Eric, kissing up to him. Foley said, listen, I tried to use the bat. Tried to use it Sunday. I was never able to. Stipulations were that if he did not use the barbed wire bat on Abyss, Abyss would have to unmask. And Eric said, well, you poured your heart into the match. You did the best you could. Effort counts for everything. And there were some people there, and he wanted them to measure Mick for a new custom outfit, all on ATM Eric, he said. And Foley fell for all of this, so his character is now a complete dumb shit. And after he left, Eric made a call and demanded Abyss show up in his office right now, which ended up being many segments later.
I am excited to see the outfit they put together for Mick.
Yeah.
What two professional wardrobe types and Mick Foley can come up with.
Orlando Jordan versus Samoa Joe. Jordan came out with a male and female associate. That's how they describe these two people. Quote, a male and female associate. Not a half and half, which is what you would think when you hear that. But one of each. Although the male associate, I don't know.
There have been more masculine men.
There have been.
Perhaps everyone else on the show.
Now, at the tapings, I don't know if it was this or a different match that Jordan did, he felt up the guy because they're doing the bisexual gimmick.
Right.
If they did in this match, they edited it out. They decided, whoa, it's maybe too much. I don't know if they edited it out or not, but there were some cuts. We'll find out, I guess, if they do it on a different show. But anyway, yes, he's doing the bisexual gimmick, which, trivia note, when ECW on Sci-Fi, before it was on Sci-Fi, ECW was going to be an internet-only show, and they were going to use Orlando Jordan, and they were going to push him as a bisexual character. He was going to do that character in ECW before they did it here in TNA. However, before they could do it, he showed up at the building with a young man.
Keyword there, young.
Shouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
Fired. That's the story there. Trivia note, everybody.
I don't know. I don't know if that counts as trivia. That's too entertaining to be trivia.
So anyway, Bischoff cut a promo on Joe, told him he dared him to impress him, and Joe went out there, lost to Jordan.
Orlando Jordan pinned Samoa Joe clean.
Yeah.
He hit a tornado backcracker.
Joe still decided to kick out at 3.25, but the angle is that he's cracking under the pressure. Great gimmick, by the way, to get a guy over.
Which didn't it?
There's nothing like a baby face that cracks under the pressure.
Well, let's review. He cashed in his title shot, so I don't know what. Maybe he hasn't won in a while. But I thought going into the pay-per-view that he was like a dominant challenger guy. Then he lost to the champion only because he got screwed by the ref, and then he lost one match.
Well, he's cracking because he lost to AJ.
His cracking consists of one loss.
Yeah.
That
caused him to lose to Orlando Jordan.
We need a larger sample size is what we need in one match.
By the way, Orlando Jordan, aside from his lockup, perfectly fine pro wrestler.
This is actually great. This is a pretty fun TV match here.
He just needs to either stop locking up or someone needs to teach him how to lock up. It's like wrestling school bad. Thankfully, there was no lockup during this match, so I didn't have to worry about it. They were teasing a former TNA champion would return tonight, and the Machine Guns were backstage.
I love this.
And they were thinking about who it might be, and Alex said, I think it's Petey.
Well, did you hear the first part of that? The first part was, one of them said, it wouldn't be Bashir, he just got fired. And then the other said, I think it's Petey.
TNA. We had Bischoff meeting with Abyss, cut a promo on him, warned him that if he told him, you have to use the bat or you're going to have to unmask, and Abyss said he didn't want to hurt his friend, and Eric basically said, I sent Foley out on a shopping spree, Hogan's busy on other business, I'm in charge, I can do anything I want now, And he said, if you try and leave, you'll never get out. We're taking that mask tonight. And Abyss ran for his life.
Abyss fled. I always love when they say things like, Hogan was taking care of other business. They took the time to think of an excuse for Foley to not be there, but then they didn't have an idea for why Hogan wouldn't be there. He's just taking care of other business.
What business is there that is more important than TNA?
Hulk Hogan scheduled a meeting during Impact.
The show is once a week. And if you know it's taped,
at night.
If you know it's taped, it's one weekend a month.
Yes. But he had other business, so he just wasn't there.
We had Christie interviewing Eric Young. And
they do need to stop putting Eric Young and Eric Bischoff in back-to-back segments.
I got so confused, apparently, when I was typing this.
Yeah.
She said Nash was not in a good mood and wanted to know if Eric had talked to him yet. Classic TNA moment. What the fuck is Nash in a bad mood about? Absolutely no idea.
They were talking about the pay-per-view, which threw me off, and then I remembered the last Impact ended with Waltman and Hall laying out Nash and Young.
So they couldn't have showed a recap before they talked about this?
No.
So
they could not.
Eric had a message
illegal
for Hall and Waltman. And he said he hoped they got in because nothing would make Kevin happier than being able to say what he wanted to say to them face to face. We had another Eric segment. 3 Eric segments in a row with 2 different Erics. Stop that. Rename Eric Young, for God's sake. Eric's clutching his bat. Jarrett's backstage.
No, where was Jarrett? Jeff Jarrett was in a trailer, like a mobile home trailer.
Actually, he was, yeah.
What? It was never explained. Eric Bischoff did mention that it was his nice double wide, but apparently Jeff Jarrett is not dressed in the Impact Zone. He gets an entire trailer to himself.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Said he wanted the bat used at the pay-per-view, but it wasn't. And he said he wanted Jarrett to use it tonight in the match with Abyss. Get the job done, Jeff, he said. We had Generation Me, Red, and Kazarian against the Machine Guns, Doug Williams, and Brian Kendrick. Kazarian, by the way, was the returning champion. And fun match. Broke down an 8-man. Kazarian pinned Williams, the ex-champ. Good finish. Fun match.
It was a very fun match, actually. Before the match even began, the crowd chanted, "You're all awesome," and they all lived up to that billing. Mm-hmm. This was 4 minutes of rapid-fire, non-stop action, TNA X Division fun. So this gets a giant thumbs up.
We had Abyss trying to leave, and Slick Johnson told him, you can't, you got a match. So Abyss went out there.
To their credit, when Abyss tried to open the door, it actually was locked, unlike WCW.
Yeah. We had Jarrett and Abyss, and I was watching this for like a minute, and I was thinking, God, Jeff Jarrett really is like a great Southern babyface. Then I kept watching. Abyss is 100 pounds heavier than Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett was beating him from pillar to post.
Yeah.
I was sitting here thinking, maybe Abyss is so distraught about losing his mask that he is unable to fight back. And as soon as I was thinking that, he just fought back. So, yes, Jarrett was just beating up a man twice his size for 4 minutes.
They went back and forth a lot. There was no heat because the crowd liked both guys, didn't want to boo anyone.
It gets better.
Well, they went through a commercial break, which I was gobsmacked at. This does not need to go that long. I also like how Jarrett comes in the ring and he sets the bat in the corner, and then a production geek runs over, grabs the bat, and moves it to a different corner.
Yeah.
And it never really mattered. All
I know is that after Jarrett beats the man twice his size around, like they're the same size, they did a double clothesline spot.
Yes.
Jeff Jarrett hit Abyss with such power in his clothesline that they both took a bump.
Right.
I just have no idea what was happening in this match.
This was not the best Impact had to offer.
So, Bischoff came out and made eye contact with Jarrett, wanted him to use the bat. Jarrett refused. So Eric stopped the match, demanded his henchmen come out.
I believe he said, guys?
It was Homicide, Raven, Tomko, Rhino, and Desmond Wolfe.
Raven's still around.
Yeah.
Shocking.
They did the deed. They went to unmask Abyss when Hogan came out. Eric was great here, by the way, when Hogan's music hit. He got in trouble.
He knew his hand was in the cookie jar.
He got in trouble. So as he was about to do it, out came Hogan, and Hogan basically grabbed the mic, told Abyss to get his ass back to his office, and then just shook his head at everyone in disappointment. And then he left, and people chanted his name. We had Beer Money against Brutus Magnus and Big Rob. Beer Money beat them clean. Very fun match. I love Beer Money. And afterwards, Magnus, who got pinned, cut a promo on Rob saying the belt had cut off. He's a global champion now, by the way.
They did show photos of him winning the belt in Wales.
Yep. Said the belt had cut off the circulation to his head. It was an embarrassment to the entire British division. By the way, I'm not sure that Rob Terry has circulation in his head, so I don't know how the belt would have cut it off. So he grabbed the belt and demanded it be given to him by Rob. And Rob ended up clotheslining him, and everyone cheered. So I guess that was his babyface turn.
That was
and they kept it simple.
This felt like the entire... I guess they teased Ascension before, like when they stole his X Division title shot and gave it to Doug Williams, but this breakup felt like it came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Longer build needed.
Hogan met with Abyss for a very strange segment. Some people love this.
I thought Hulk Hogan's promo here was unreal. His promo was great. When I looked back at this later, I was like, in a way, this really made no sense.
Yeah.
But his delivery was still fucking fantastic.
I did the Fight Network show, or I guess it's called the Fight Show now, with Mauro Ranallo. And I didn't get a chance to ask him about it because he just went from thing to thing so fast, but he hated this. And I thought, I don't know about that one.
Well, the gist of this was, Hogan yelled at Abyss basically for being a pussy.
Yeah.
He was tired of seeing Abyss cower and cry and run away. He said he wanted to do the monster. He said, "You will never cower again. You will never shake. You will never back up, brother." And he pulled out his Hall of Fame ring. He said, "This ring is the only thing I have that never left me. This is the only thing that has always been with me. It's the only thing that ever loved me." He said, "I destroyed my body for 30 years, something out giant arenas. Now I can barely get out of bed in the morning for this ring." And then he gave the ring to Abyss. He declared, "This will give you the power of the universe. This will be good to you. It will protect you. It will guide you. It will make you the god of wrestling."
The god of wrestling.
Said, "You will be 10 times stronger than I ever was. You will become the god of men, greater than I ever could be." And here's where I just stopped and thought about this. Hogan had another great promo 2 or 3 weeks ago. And for a guy who's, basically been he's made all his millions off of his great size and his speaking ability, his promos have peaked here in 2010. Which is kind of remarkable. And then Abyss slipped the ring on, and he went mad.
Mr. Hogan, I know he's mad. What did I do?
I'm going to play it right here, since Hogan did a better job than you.
Yes.
Oh, I'm in trouble. Mr. Bischoff wants me out. Oh, my God. Oh, that's it. Oh, I'm done with this crap. I'm sorry, Mr. Hogan. Sit down. Yes. Not now, Eric. Get out. Get up! Yes! Yes! I am so sick and tired of watching you shake. I am so sick and tired of watching you chase your tail. I am so sick and tired of watching you be afraid of your own shadow. Right now, it stops. It's over. It's a done deal. Do you understand that? Yes, sir. Okay, brother, explain it so you can understand it. You know who Superman is? Yes, sir. Well, he's got a cape. Yes. Makes him real powerful. Do you know who Popeye is? Yes. Well, he's got a can of spinach. Makes him real strong. I gotta ask you a question. Are you really a monster? Yes, sir, I am a monster. No, are you a monster? Yes, sir, I am a monster. Well, you're not as big of a monster as I am, brother, because the monster that I am is called Hulkamania. Yes, it is bigger than you can ever be. It's bigger. Do you understand that? Yes, sir, I do. It all stops now. You will never cower again. You will never shake. You will never back up, brother. Do you know what this is? Is that what I think it is? Yeah, do you know what this is? This is Hulk Hogan's Hall of Fame ring, brother. This is my life. Everything. Yeah, this is everything. This is the only thing that never left me. This is the only thing that's always been with me. This is the only thing that ever loved me. I destroyed my body for 30 years, selling out every huge venue in the world to earn this ring. I am so crippled up, I can barely get out of the bed in the morning. Do you understand that this is my life? Yes, sir. I understand, Hulk. You understand? Yes, sir, I do. It's everything. It encompasses Hulkamania and the world. I understand. Put your hand out. Put your hand out. This is yours. What? This will give you the power of the universe. This will make you the strongest mortal man on this earth. Yes, this will be good to you. Yes, this will protect you. This will love you. This will guide you. And this will make you the god of wrestling. You will be, from this point forward, 10 times a man, 10 times a wrestler, 10 times stronger than Hulk Hogan ever was. Yes, sir. That is your destiny. Yes, sir. That is your mission. Yes, sir. You will become the god of men, the men that I could never be. You will be greater than anything that's ever walked in the ring. Sir. That is your destiny. Yes, sir. Do you feel the power? I feel it, Hulk. I feel it. I feel it. Yours. I won't let you down, Hulk. This ring stands for every Hulkamaniac in the world ever. And now it stands for the monster abyss.
There you go.
Yeah,
that was I think that was one of those things where if you wrote it down word for word and read it,
it would be ridiculous.
It would sound so fucking stupid. But Hulk Hogan made that work.
Oh, yeah.
That's why he's Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan made it work.
Hulk Hogan made that work, and Abyss is so awesomely Abyss. I have no other... If we get back to Abyss cutting those promos that he was cutting like 4 or 5 months ago, remember those promos that were so fucking great?
I do.
If we get that again, I'll be the happiest guy in the world. I give this segment 2 thumbs up.
Now, I will say, I totally agree. I do understand, though, why some people might not like it, because Hulk Hogan cut this amazingly passionate speech
about his WWE ring.
Well, not even that, but how important it was. It was all he had left. It was all he had to show for his life, all he had to show for his legacy. And then he basically said, "Here, you're having a bad day. Here's my ring," and gave it away and walked out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of illogical, but I don't care because his speech was so great.
Then we had the best segment on Impact in years. And this is also one where I could see why people would dislike this segment. I'll explain why in a minute. First off, Angle beat Daniels in like 5 seconds, ankle lock. It was just, I don't even know why they even had to do this, except to tell the world that they don't consider Daniels a star.
I was very annoyed because Jeff and Abyss went for like 15 minutes and this got 1.
So then Angle cut the big promo, and he said that he was man enough to admit when he was beat. This past Sunday, Mr. Anderson beat him. But that was not what pissed him off. He said that he had a necklace, and he held it up, and he said this was a necklace that Anderson busted him open with. And he said Anderson basically talked about what this dog tag was. He said it was a tag that men in the military wore with their name on it, so that if they died, their commander would know who it was so they could send the body home to the loved ones. And he started talking about how he had this really difficult year and a half. He went through a hard divorce. He shamed his kids, got arrested, falsely accused of things he didn't do, started crying. Crowd was chanting his name. Said he sat in a jail cell. He didn't know why it was happening to him. He prayed to God, asked why. And shortly after posting bail, he went down to Fort Hood, and he met some people who changed his life, soldiers, family members of soldiers who died in battle. And one soldier came up to him and said that he saw Kurt Saw his name in the paper, saw it on TV, read about it, and he told Kurt, I believe in you. And he gave Angle the tag to remind him of who he was, and the inscription on the tag, Angle said, out of every 100 men, 10 shouldn't even be there, 80 are just targets, and 9 are the real fighters. We're lucky to have all of them, for they make the battle, but the one is a warrior, and he will bring the others back. And he said that when Anderson cut him with that tag, he didn't just make Kurt bleed, he made the soldiers bleed. Soldiers do battle and died in battle. Said he made the whole United States bleed. And he said worse, after he won, he came back, he threw the tag down on Kurt, and then he spit on it. And he said that when you go down that road with Angle, there's no coming back. He said, Mr. Anderson, I will see you in hell. It was such a fucking fabulous promo by Kurt, because I think every single bit of it was probably true. Obviously, all the stuff about his hard year was true.
I don't think Kurt Angle's a good enough actor to fake actual tears.
No, he was really crying about that.
Yeah.
I presume the story about Fort Hood is also true. But Anderson ended up coming out on the ramp and basically just made fun of Kurt. He
was such an awesome prick making fun of Kurt for crying.
He was, not only that, he was so awesome at being an asshole. And meanwhile, Kurt Angle was standing in the ring. His eyes were still a little teary, and he had this look on his face like, I'm going to fishhook your mouth, and I'm going to turn you inside out by your mouth.
This was a look of hatred.
I'm going to pull your mouth all the way open, and I'm going to pull it down over your skull and then unwrap you with your skin and leave nothing but bones. This was the look that Kurt Angle had on his face. And Anderson basically challenged him to a fight. Angle ran up there. Anderson laid him out probably a little too easily, hit him with the mic, and then got down and announced that it was now total nonstop Anderson. All I have to say is that this segment was so awesome that if these people had even the slightest clue, if they had even the fucking slightest clue, this match would main event Lockdown. Kurt Angle versus Ken Anderson in a cage, with Kurt Angle going to kill the man. I think if Jim Cornette, for example, had this TV show dropped into his lap, and he had to book it through Lockdown and put that match as the main event, I think that would do an easy 60,000 buys. Unfortunately, I can almost guarantee you that this match will be given away for free probably on March 8th. They're going to fuck the entire thing up. I would almost bet, I won't say my life on it, but I would bet $1 billion
would you now?
They fuck this up sometime in the next month. Guaranteed. By the time this gets on pay-per-view, nobody's going to give a shit. I just have this feeling. I hope I'm wrong. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I expect otherwise, because I don't. This was so fucking great, though. And it almost pains me how great it was. It pains me. It pains me to see something so great that I know is going to go so wrong.
Yeah, it was really good. The two negatives, one I think is pretty obvious, is that it's uncomfortable using the actual deaths of actual soldiers in a pro wrestling angle. Number two, it just seems like this story has been told out of order. Like at the pay-per-view, perhaps Chris been wearing this tag for months and I didn't notice.
I think he has been.
But the point is, I didn't notice. So then the pay-per-view, which again I didn't see, I only read your report, there's something about Kurt wearing a necklace getting cut up, and I was confused. And only then did Kurt take the time to explain what this was.
They do this all the time.
He should have explained what this was, ideally when he started wearing it, but certainly before Anderson used it as a weapon.
Vince Russo always talks about how he's a storyteller, and he writes stories. I just go back and listen to the beginning of Tuesday's show if you want to hear my rant about Russo again, but
he's no good.
In real stories, a perfect example is, remember a few years ago when AJ suddenly came out and started talking about his alcoholic father who abused him?
Yes.
Okay, Never in history had this been brought up.
Oh.
But one day they needed us to feel sympathy for AJ, so they introduced this story literally out of nowhere. Nobody fucking cared. Nobody remembers to this day. He does this all the time. You don't just... Could you not have begun this story about the chain, 2 months ago? Could you not have had video footage 2 months ago of Angle actually going to Fort Hood and being given the medal or the dog tag or whatever? Foreshadowing?
Yes.
Or just introducing the aspects of the story.
So that...
you introduce the characters, for example.
We would have known what this was, and we would have cared about Ken Anderson spitting on his necklace if we knew what the necklace was.
Yeah, instead he spit on a piece of metal, nobody gave a fuck, and then Angle comes and cuts a promo, and now we're supposed to care.
Yeah.
Cornette never would have fucked this up.
No.
No, he would not have. But still...
Speaking of fucking things up...
For what it was, this was fabulous.
Speaking of fucking things up, Impact then continued.
Yeah. This, again, it
fell off a cliff, and then the rocks fell on it.
This, at the 1 hour and 52-minute mark, Angle had just finished his promo and got beaten up, and Kennedy had said it was total nonstop Anderson. The show would have went off the air here. This would have been the best Impact in God knows how long. Instead, they cut backstage. Joe is leaving. Borash is trying to get comments. Joe won't answer. Suddenly a van pulls up. A bunch of geeks jump out, ninjas, I think, and they abduct Samoa Joe. Swear to God.
I wrote that he was kidnapped by a squad of mystery men.
This was so important.
They actually looked like the WCW Mystery Man, too.
This followed that awesome segment with Angle and Anderson.
Yeah.
This I'm not a big fan of angles that involve, but I mean, everything Angle said I believed, and in a sense they did turn it into an angle, but it was an homage to all of those soldiers. Angle's thing was actually an homage to all those people.
Sure.
It brought attention to those people. I did not have a problem with that.
And then they followed it with Samoa Joe
getting abducted.
Yes.
Perhaps by Iraqis. I have no idea. No idea who it was.
I'm trying to think of who the terrorists were in Back to the Future.
That's what I was trying to think right there. That's exactly
probably Libyans. It was the 80s.
It may have been. It's exactly what this looked like. I was expecting a DeLorean to zoom in or someone to shoot Doc or something like that.
Also would have been better, by the way.
So he got abducted, and then there's more. Fucking Kevin Nash and Eric Young come out. After this Angle...
We're supposed to care.
Anderson segment, they send out Kevin Nash and Eric Young.
Right.
Kevin Nash cuts a promo on Hall and Waltman that's supposed to be serious, talking about broken hearts in this business and broken bones.
And the crowd goes, "Aww."
Totally did not care at all.
By the way.
Yeah, did not care at all. And he basically dared them to come out. They came out. Nash and Hall squared off. Nash gave him one punch. Geeks immediately broke it up.
The Lord.
Nash attempting to capture Scott Hall was the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen.
It's a funny thing with both teams. There's a big immobile guy and a small guy who can do stuff. So you figure, okay, well, let the small guys do most of the action. No, the faces are in the ring. The heels are at the outside. Eric Young attacks Six-Pac, and they brawl on the floor, and the focus is on Kevin Nash and Scott Hall in the ring.
They had the most horrendous brawl. And then the Geeks are trying to hold Nash back, and he's trying to break free, and he looked like a 500-year-old man reanimated. This was so sad. And again, this was more important than Angle and Anderson. This was so important it had to close the show.
Yeah.
It's Impact, everybody.
Always will be.
Still Impact. So anyway, I ended up giving it a 1 thumb up instead of 2 because they fucked it up in the last 8 minutes. And again, that's what you remember when the show ends. You remember the last 8 minutes. So anyway, better luck next week, everybody, when the countdown's on to screwing up Angle and Anderson. We should keep track. This is week 1. Will they have fucked it up by week 2?
On 1 week in a row without screwing anything up?
I have no idea what goes on in the tapings. They're so convoluted, so I don't know. But we'll find out soon. But to the back! All right, I want to talk about some Impact here. All right. Well, I still have a little bit of energy left. I need to talk about this goddamn shitty show.
This was no good.
Remember when they first came in and I was giving them the benefit of the doubt, and I said it's a better show and this and that?
Yeah.
I have no fucking idea what happened here. I don't know if Bischoff and Hogan went home for a week and Russo just, his brain exploded on the paper, but this was absolute shite. Just pure shit.
I will say, this was, unlike the terrible old days of Impact, this was at least paced better. And I agree, there were logical holes, a go-go. There was...
A go-go, you say.
There was non-action a go-go.
11 minutes in 120 minutes.
Yeah, and there was
11 minutes of wrestling on this program.
A bunch of shitty promos, a bunch of stuff that didn't make sense, and a bunch of bad entertainment.
There were two good things on the show, the opening and the closing segment. The rest of it, utter monstrosity of a television program. It opened up with, first off, they had Abyss showing off his Hall of Fame ring to all the geeks, saying that he could feel the power. I thought the ring was going to turn him into a monster. It turned him into a cartoon.
Yeah.
No buys.
And then they cut to, here's what's on Impact graphics, and there's a graphic of Abyss holding his ring up to the camera as close as possible. It was incredible.
We had AJ and Flair coming out to AJ's old babyface music. I realize I'm starting off with a nitpick here, but for fuck's sake, some people can have a song and they can use it whether they're a babyface or a heel. If you're a good babyface or a good heel, it's possible because people are going to hate you. You know what I mean? AJ Styles, he needs all the help he can get to be a heel because he's not a very good one, really. He's a likable young man. He's clean cut. He does a lot of flipping.
Does cool moves.
He does a lot of high flying. So they're trying to make him a heel, and they bring him out to his babyface music he's been using for years when he was beloved. I just heard this and I was amazed. So he comes out to it and cuts a promo on the Pope, and it was a low-level Flair promo, but I didn't hate it because I think people forget how horrible his old promos used to be. I mean, low-level Ric Flair, significantly better than high-level AJ Styles. So he does his promo, and Flair then grabbed the mic, and
he was better.
And I kind of felt like taking back everything I just said right there. Ric Flair, if he does not win Best on Interviews in 2010, I'm going to be fascinated to see who wins. I can't imagine who could possibly out-promo Ric Flair in 2010. He was fantastic. He buried Hogan for giving his Hall of Fame ring to Abyss. He said doing that was like giving the ring to a random fat fan. He was spitting. He was turning red. He was trying to figure out how to describe, quote, the Abyss.
Yes.
And
he called him a challenged person.
He finally settled on, and this is a direct quote, he's a challenged person at best.
Yes. And he went on
I'm going straight to hell, but I laughed so hard. Someone needs to make a song out of, he's a challenged person at best.
And I'm going to read this sentence right from my notes. He stammers and mumbles, and it would suck if it were literally anyone besides Ric Flair.
So he's ranting and raving, and out comes Abyss to American Made.
Yeah.
No.
Come on.
First off, it's not just that Abyss is doing a Hulk Hogan gimmick. He's coming out to a song from 1994.
There's that.
American Made.
At least it was a cool mix with his old music turning into American Made. But he comes out.
At least, you say.
At least.
No.
Okay.
This sucked in every conceivable way.
On the list of TNA theme songs, this is not the worst. It may be...
Yes, in fact, it is. Because for a while, Abyss... Remember about 6 months ago when Abyss was cutting those fantastic promos and you actually believed he was a scary, badass monster?
Now he's a fool.
Now he's Dave Sullivan.
Exactly.
With American Made.
He's Evan Sullivan back.
Sucks. So he comes out, and Flair flipped out on him, said, you make everybody look bad. And he's ranting and raving about how he worked his whole life to get a Hall of Fame ring, and Abyss made him want to vomit. He called him a clown. And finally, out came Hulk Hogan. And Hulk comes down to the ring, and where am I here? Did he come out here?
Yes, I think. Didn't he? Where the hell am I? Hogan came out.
Flair talked forever.
Flair did talk for a long time. They demanded that Abyss take off the ring and give it to AJ, and he appeared to be pondering it, and then Hogan came out. He talked for a while, didn't say much other than AJ Styles may go down in history as the weakest champion.
It was a nonsensical promo.
I
had no idea what he was talking about.
So then Flair said he came to TNA because everything Hogan touches turns to gold, But at the same time, he said, you will never tell me what to do. He said, he asked, what are you doing giving him a Hall of Fame ring? Then he took his jacket off, and his shirt was soaked.
Drenched in sweat.
He looked like he had taken his shower in his clothes and put his jacket on. And I was very concerned for the man's health. But then everyone else took their jackets off, and Abyss was also soaked. So I guess it's just very humid in Florida.
You don't say.
Yeah.
It is, in fact, very humid in Florida. Anyway, he demanded he wanted Hogan to take the ring off Abyss and give it to AJ. And, anyway, the end of this was great because the heels demanded a fight, the faces accepted, and then the heels bailed. Yes.
That's awesome.
And Flair did a promo saying one way or another, Abyss's ring was going to be on AJ's finger by the end of the night. And this was a great segment. And by the way, I don't think it did, which it should have, these idiots.
Indeed.
We had Nasty Boys with Jimmy Hart against Team 3D in a tables match. So that's right. The Nasty Boys won on pay-per-view to set up a match for free on Impact in an opener, mind you. So this was shorter than the pay-per-view match. It was fine. Jesse Neal ran out. He's a babyface again. He threw a helmet to 3D. They hit knobs with it. They put Sags to a table with the 3D.
It was no DQ, so it's fine.
That was the end of the match.
It was an acceptable brawl.
To the back. Foley was yelling at Eric about the deal last week where he sent him to get new clothes as a distraction to unmask Abyss. And, of course, my question was, well, where the fuck are your new clothes then? But they at least explained that later. And Eric said that...
he said concentrate on the results, not the process.
Yeah.
Which is a horrible way to analyze anything, by the way. Because in Eric's mind, what happened was... he was going to remove Abyss's mask, but Hulk Hogan saved Abyss and gave him his ring, and now Abyss is having the greatest day of his life.
Yeah.
And Eric said, I take credit for this.
And Foley, of course, fell for it, because he's an idiot.
That's where it lost me. Yes, Foley fell for this argument.
Yeah.
Mick Foley, everyone, is not stupid.
Well, he is now.
He is on Impact.
See, Eric Bischoff is smarter than everyone on this show.
Yes.
You see, in all 84 segments he's on.
Yes.
So... Bischoff told him to go get your suit on and wear it for later.
Yeah, Foley came in full of anger and then sheepishly backed away and agreed to go get his new suit.
ODB and Daphne, they had a cutaway to Tara cutting a promo on Daphne, which was about half as long as the match itself, which was only about 3 minutes. It was not a
terribly long promo. Yeah.
Daphne wrapped ODB's leg around the post, pulled her knee pad down. She attempted to lean a portion of the steps against her leg, but the steps fell down. And then she was supposed to hit the steps with a broom, but the steps fell down, and so she hit the post with the broom. And this was supposed to be some sort of big injury angle, but it was indie-level horrendous. Completely embarrassing.
Sucked multiple cocks.
It's like one of those things where there's only 11 minutes on the show. Why not just have 10 and take this off?
It would have been better.
Because this was horrible.
They were doing this match, and Tara was cutting this promo. And Tara's promo, by the way, also sucked. Very wooden delivery of very scripted lines. And I like the idea of doing inset promos during matches, but it was this promo during this match, and it came off terrible.
I don't like that idea at all. Why would I want an inset promo during a match? We don't have enough interviews on this show? Can I just watch a match when the match is on? There's 11 minutes of wrestling. I can't have 11 minutes of wrestling without a fucking interview in the middle of it.
You make a point. On this particular show, it's a bad idea. Say, on the Dragon Gate show, it may have worked.
Morgan and Hernandez did a promo, and Boresh wanted to know about Morgan turning on him at the pay-per-view, and Morgan said, listen, I'll tell you the same thing I told Hernandez after the match. I had an opportunity. I took it. Hernandez would have done the same thing. He was acting very heelish, by the way. And he said, all we're concentrating on now is our tag titles. We want the challenge. So keep that in mind.
He also said that they were going to be black and bluing and door busting.
I don't know. Beer Money came out to talk. Said a few years ago they formed their team and agreed to always do their best. And they said they were the best team in all of wrestling, but they were being... they've been here since the beginning. They sold tons of merchandise, but they were being overlooked. And Hernandez came out on the ramp and basically said he was going to go to Bischoff and ask him to book Beer Money for a tag title shot at the pay-per-view. And he said, may the best team win. Beer Money accepted. There you go.
It took you about 20 seconds to summarize that. It took like 6 minutes of TV time. So, yeah, that was bad.
Morash interviewed Nash and Young, and Nash said they just wanted a Hall and Waltman. And Young said This is one of those things that fucking drives me crazy. He said, all we want is TV time, and we guarantee if you give us this match, it will be the highest rated segment ever. Who fucking cares? What fan watching this show could possibly give a shit about what segment is the highest rated segment of all time? I hate it when these people on iMPACT are doing interviews and talking about how they're going to pop a rating or they're going to draw great ratings. Why would anyone watching at home care in the slightest? Can you explain this to me?
No.
Have you ever heard anyone in WWE talking about they're going to draw great ratings?
Not an in-character promo, so it's not quite as bad. But they do those stupid "did you know" facts or whatever, which are just as dumb.
But it's just a fact.
Yeah.
It's not like wrestlers. We're supposed to. There's an interview is about making us care about seeing two guys wrestle.
You're correct. It is stupid. What Eric Young basically said was, "I am so angry at Scott Hall and Sean Waltman that I'm going to go out there and draw a rating on them."
Yeah.
Not I'm going to skin them alive or kick their teeth in. I'm going to draw viewers. That's stupid.
And Nash was in the middle of his conclusion, and they cut away on him.
He said he could live with physical pain, but emotional pain is for life. And they went to the next segment right away.
Yeah. He was in the middle of saying life when they cut away. So, to the back again for more talking, it was Jeff Jarrett yelling at Eric Bischoff. You wonder why they showed it at 1.2. The same shit we've been seeing for years with different guys. Jarrett yelled and yelled and yelled. He told Eric to shut up. He screamed.
He said all this, and Eric finally says, "Jeff, I'm sorry." And this made Jarrett even angrier. Which led me to ask, why did you come in here then?
He told Eric to up his game. It was going to take more than 6 thugs to run him out of his company. Bischoff told him to calm down. He said he was wrong. He said, Jarrett, come out later, and I will give you the opportunity you deserve in front of the fans. And Jeff Jarrett, like Mick Foley, is a goddamn idiot, and he fell for this.
And Jeff Jarrett, like Mick Foley, is a goddamn pussy as well, because he was ranting and screaming and raving, and Eric said, listen, I know it's been hard for both of us trying to adjust to this. And Jarrett screamed, are you trying to get me to feel sorry for you? Listen to what you're saying. And Eric says, now I heard you out, you should give me a chance to speak too. And Jeff says, fair enough. Everyone bows down before the might of Eric Bischoff.
So Bischoff comes to the ring for more talking. Said he made a lot of mistakes. Good thing about getting old was you could learn from them, grow as a human being. Usual smarmy promo. Called out Jarrett, said he could have his music. Brought out the barbed wire bat and said, listen, I told you to use this last week. You did the right thing by not doing it. However, you did the wrong thing by me. He said, I'm going to give you one last chance to do the right thing. I want you to go to the back, go to catering, and flip a few burgers for the fine folks at TNA. He said, to abide by the health codes, you're going to have to wear this. It was a hair net. That made me laugh. I don't think that was what it was supposed to do. But he wanted to know if Jarrett was fine with that, because if not, he could just quit. And then Jeff didn't say anything, because he is, in fact, a pussy. And he went back to flip burgers.
And that was that. And by the way, again, this took you 40 seconds to recap. It took 5 to 6 minutes of TV time again. This was then followed by, I think, my favorite moment on the show, really. Matt Morgan met with Hernandez.
More talking.
More talking. Hernandez was in the back, apparently about to leave. And Morgan runs up in a fit. And he says, what are you doing out there? And Hernandez says, what? Morgan puts his hands on Hernandez's shoulders. He looks to his left. He looks to his right. He says, come here. And they move 4 feet to the right. And they started talking. Now, even funnier, when they started, they were basically in the corner of the room. They were already aside, so Morgan couldn't pull him aside and have a conversation, because they were already aside. So when he said to come here, and they moved 4 feet to the right, they actually moved closer to the center of the room.
God's name, are you bringing this up at 2 o'clock in the morning?
This is how my brain works. Okay. I thought this was important.
Stop. Turn your brain off for a second. Let me recap this goddamn segment. What happened was, he was upset that Hernandez gave Beer Money a title shot. And Hernandez said, well, you said we should challenge anyone. And Morgan said, well, I thought you would start with cool. Generation Me or the Machine Guns, he said. And he said, listen, if we're going to be a team, before you make random challenges, you need to discuss it with me first. We need to be smart here, he said. Good luck. We had Frankie Kazarian and Brian Kendrick. It's fun while it lasted, which was about a minute. They cut away in the middle of the match to show Joe getting kidnapped last week, at which point Taz said, I've been trying to text him, I've called him, I've emailed him, I've heard nothing all week. The cops!
They would think he was abducted, taken away by force. And he has been missing now for 7 days, and it was not mentioned until more than an hour into the show during another wrestling match. That's where it falls on the priority list. This kidnapping.
I just love that Russo is always talking about how I'm all about reality. Really? A guy was fucking kidnapped last week,
and no one
his
cares.
Best friends can't get a hold of him via phone, email, fax, a mimeograph, whatever the fucking thing is, and no one's bothered to call the fucking police yet?
No.
Jesus Christ. So Kazarian won, got the shot at the X title at the pay-per-view.
He won the flux capacitor, which is a ridiculously stupid move I never need to see again.
Abyss did another promo talking, said he was not the Lord, but he was the monster of the rings. We had Christie interviewing Ken Anderson in a segment that pissed me off. He did his usual annoying fucking promo, and then they had a quick segment where Brutus Magnus and Rob Terry, Brutus was trying to bully him, and then Terry twisted his fingers and told him to piss off, which I hope is his new catchphrase. But anyway, so like a minute after Ken Anderson has done an interview for like 5 minutes, talking about fuck knows what.
It's talking about fighting his gorillas.
Literally.
And he beat them.
2 minutes later, he comes out for a match with Rob Terry and cuts another goddamn promo. I know, I realize they film everything out of order, but seriously, this was ridiculous. So he's cutting this promo, and now we're into politics. He says, this medal around my neck, this was given to me by the mother of a dead soldier. And by the way, I found the way that Angle did it last week. I mentioned this before. I realize that they're using the deaths of soldiers as part of an angle, but it didn't bother me last week because I really felt that Kurt Angle was sincere when he was thanking all of the troops, and I really think that he went down to Fort Hood, and I think he was greatly touched, and he was talking about it here on the air. Now, I realize they turned this into a goofy wrestling angle, but at least it was a platform to discuss these issues and how strongly he felt about them. It was ruined here by Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson turned this into exploitation of the deaths of soldiers. It was completely different than the Kurt Angle deal. He comes out, he's talking about how a dead soldier, the mother of a dead soldier gave me this thing. And then he adds, what did he say?
It was a Vietnamese soldier.
It was a Vietnamese soldier.
And
and
I
his
guess
mother.
he was trying to make a profound point about how we should feel sad for all soldiers in battle, which is I guess it's true, but
everyone just sat there.
Yeah, why should I boo or cheer him now when he fights Kurt Angle? I don't want to see a deep philosophical debate about the tragic horrors of war.
And then I can't say it gets worse because it.
No, it didn't.
I don't even know what to say. That was as bad as it gets. But Angle comes up from under the stage. He hits Ken with a chair. He takes back his medal. Terry comes out to pick up Anderson, who I should note he took one chair shot to the back.
Was rendered dead.
I mean, I swear to God, dead.
Unmoving?
He was dead weight. Terry hoisted him onto his shoulders. He threw him into the ring. He power slammed him.
Yes.
Ken Anderson playing dead due to a chair shot was the dumbest thing I've ever seen on Impact, I think. It was so...
He's going to be feuding with Kurt Angle, you realize.
No, hopefully not. I mean,
unless you think it was the end?
I have no problem saying when I was wrong. I was so wrong last week when I said if these guys had any clue whatsoever, they would build Kurt Angle versus Ken Anderson at Lockdown. That's how good I thought last week's segment was. This was the dumbest follow-up to a great angle I may have seen in my whole entire life. The follow-up was Kurt Angle hit the man with one chair shot, killed him, cost him a match, and just took his thing back.
The end.
What in the fuck could we possibly care for in this feud from now on?
I don't know.
He's already got his medal back. He already got his revenge. What more is there? I don't want to ever see them again.
I don't know. And this is nitpicking, but one other thing they did wrong in the segment.
There's nothing nitpicking in the segment.
What I'm about to say makes me nitpicking.
No.
Because after Mr. Anderson had been killed with a chair shot to the back, Rob Terry came out, lifted his dead body up, hoisted him down in the ring, dumped him over the top rope. The ref rang the bell, and then Rob Terry couldn't just make a cover. No. Big Rob had to get his shit in.
Yeah.
And he hit a power slam and won.
I like that. Except for how stupid it looked that Ken Anderson was still a dead body. This was so horrendous. As great as if last week's segment was 5 stars, this was minus 10 stars. I've never seen such a disparity before. You talk about screwing up angles, like when they followed up Hunter, when Orton kissed Stephanie, and then the next week they fucked it up by having that fight in the house. That went from like 5 stars to just -1 star. This went from 5 stars to minus 10 stars. I've never seen anything fucked up as badly as this here. It was completely astounding. So then we had Nash and Eric outside, and
they found
Hall and Waltman beat him up.
6 Pac was wearing, I think, Vinny V's next suit. It was silver instead of gold, but that was about the only difference.
They beat him up. They sprayed For Life on his back.
He was wearing
tagging in 2010.
And Eric Young sacrificed himself by wearing a plain white T-shirt straight out of Walmart. He was not going to lose any valuable shirt for this stupid angle.
We had Bischoff backstage, more talking. He was on the phone with somebody saying the celebrity guest host was the stupidest idea he'd ever heard of. Burying the competition is fine when you're on even ground,
yes,
or when you're beating the competition, as was the case in the Monday Night Wars. Mm-hmm. When the competition is doing 5.5 million viewers, and you're lucky to do 1.4, shut the fuck up.
The celebrity guest hosts are better than anything on your show, Eric. The numbers prove it.
Then showed up in a nice suit, and Bischoff told him the next step was to hire an etiquette coach. This is ungodly.
And
awful.
Foley
fell for it again.
Yeah, Foley was not insulted or annoyed. No, Foley was impressed, and this is a direct quote, that Bischoff would invest that kind of money in him as an asset.
What person who matters could possibly care about the Mick Foley character now? Have you ever seen a character ruined to this degree? This dumb shit is now wearing suits, and he's going to hire an etiquette coach. What has happened to Mick Foley? How could you possibly care about this character?
I don't know.
He got pinned in a minute after being hit with a picture of Abyss a couple of weeks ago in a hardcore match. They've ruined the character, so way to go. Then we had Abyss versus Nigel. Abyss beat him in like 2 minutes. And then afterwards, we had... what do we have?
AJ and Flair
came
out.
AJ hit the ring and kicked him low, handcuffed him to the ropes. Hogan walked down to the ring, did not even pretend to run. He got in the ring. He threw a bunch of punches while standing still, and they bounced all around him. Then he tried to walk. This was a disaster. They ripped his bandana off. He looked 500 years old. They chopped him. He gigged. There's actually so little blood in wrestling nowadays that this was actually a heavy heat angle because of this blood. And Abyss finally roared and broke free and sent the heels packing. And the segment ended with Abyss cradling Hulk Hogan's bloody head in his arms. I figured the show would go off the air. And, as much as people talk about ratings being more important than buy rates, which, by the way, is complete asinine idiocy, but even if you agree that ratings are more important, okay, fine. That should be how the show ends, so people have to tune in next week to see how Hulk Hogan is. No. They go to commercial, they come back, Hogan's fine. He's standing up, he's got a mic, he's cutting a promo. He's got a little bit of blood. So Hogan announces March 8th, it's going to be Flair coming out of retirement, which, of course, caused Flair to flip out, saying, "You're not allowed to kill my retirement." Well, apparently Hogan can. It's going to be Abyss versus Flair and AJ, and they said, well, who's Abyss's partner? And Hogan said, it will be me. Mike Tenay screamed, "Holy shit." That was the end of the show.
That was the end of the show.
They couldn't even save that until next week.
No.
They could not even save that to try to pop a rating for next week. There you go, everybody. What can I say?
The show was ass.
This was a bad program.